Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay. My name is HPS. Why not? You join. So we want to welcome everybody who's attending by cyberspace. Hi! And I want to welcome everybody who's attending with their wetware. In front of me there are 25 people who are 75% water. Okay. And we're continuing with our Nectar of Instruction symposium. And it looks like we're not going to have any kind of online connection here. Okay. That's one way of doing this. Okay. There's the hotspot is not working. Okay. Although it says it is. Okay. So let's just go ahead here and begin. And anybody who's, okay. We'll try one more time. We're generous. Yeah. It shows, the hotspot shows 4 bars on your cell phone. Oh, okay. Host us, let us in. Where'd the host go? Huh? Kama Gayatri Devi Dasi. Disappeared. Okay. Okay. So anyway, people who are listening online, hopefully in a few minutes we'll be able to load you in here. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead, use our on-screen presence here, and we'll continue with yesterday with our PowerPoint show. Okay. What is this? Okay. So yesterday, in the song. Not the very, very last there. We had this presentation of 3 minutes with a genius, because this is Upadeshamrita. And everybody, okay, I guess most people were here yesterday. Okay. Yeah. So it was written 500 years ago by Rupa Goswami. Yeah. And of course, Rupa Goswami and his brother, we have it mentioned here, were very, very high class Brahmins 500 years ago, which means that they memorized, they knew everything they ever read probably, and their character and their qualifications were purified beyond anything that's imaginable in the human modern circumstance. One time I saw, how many people know the Kanyard shipping lines? See, yeah, you know, yeah. They were at the end of the sailing boats and stuff. They were very famous. I guess I'm not if they're still famous or not. But they had maybe 65, 75 sailing ships all over the world, 100, traveling, taking stuff from Madagascar to Bombay, big company. And so maybe 1895 or something, 1910, there's a picture in the mezzanine, of, let me say, okay. That's okay, whatever it is. Okay. Looks like we got it here. And all we have to do is, share our screen. Now, of course, that also takes permission from the hostess.
Oh, God.
Close your microphone. Cerrar su micrófono. Yeah. Okay. So it shows a picture from the mezzanine of the offices for the Kanyard shipping lines in New York. And it had maybe 6 desks by 6 desks. So altogether, 36 desks, And looking down on it looks kind of like a computer chip. Everybody had identical desks. And you see people with little baskets, rolling files from different places to different places. And they were checking out what's being loaded here and how much space is there and what the crew has to be. And you saw, and some people maybe just screaming at somebody else, "Hey, that form I got, change." You can't do that with a computer. In the office like that, you can yell at somebody or write something in the margin. So you saw they were managing this entire giant international corporation with just people using their memories and some paperwork and coordination. So now computer scientists are looking for all kinds of ways to organize their memories and stuff, and architecture for organizing the software. So if you go to the University of California, there's maybe 5, 6 libraries there. Kama Gayatri? give us permission to share our screen? You did it. Okay, thank you. You're very kind. Okay, so everybody theoretically should be able to see what's happening. And I'm screen sharing. Can anybody there hear us? Anybody online, can you hear us? If you say, you're supposed to say, yes, I can hear you. Nobody says anything. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. When we go to Peru, we'll give you a cookie. That's the reward. Yeah. Okay. So, what's the Bancroft Library at the University of California, Berkeley? Many libraries, you know, is their rare books collection, rare books. And right in that, and even if you order a book, you have to get permission. You got to be somebody special, you know, all this kind of stuff. You get the approval. They bring the book out with gloves on, and you got to have gloves on. And they give you little bamboo tweezers to turn the pages. They have original things from Mark Twain, original handwritings. But they also have books by, what's it called? Vasudeva Sarvabhauma, which is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's official name like that. You know? And he's describing how to organize the state, how to organize the military, and setting up all these logical systems from Maharaj Prachaparita, how to manage an entire empire, like that and so on. So even now they're looking at these things to see like, okay, this is how to set up the logical structure for a computer. One of our disciples, Subal Saka, he's in Richmond, and he's architect, software architect for Dell, you know. And for example, he'll start Friday night when everything's closed down, and they have to migrate, you know, 125,000 users to the new server by Sunday afternoon. And he has like maybe 5 or 6 programmers, you know, all working under him. And once it starts, you can't stop. It's like otherwise the whole world will come to an end. So he gets like $500, $400 or $500 an hour when he's working, and after that he has to recover for 4 or 5 days and do nothing. So this is again, we're trying to point out that 500 years ago when this was written, it wasn't that people were idiots and savages and everything else. Actually, the environment was more sophisticated in most ways than it is now. They didn't have cell phones because you didn't need them. Just talk to your neighbor like that. We can put a man on the moon, but you can't walk across the street to say hello to your neighbor. Okay. Yeah. So 500 years ago, Rupa Goswami, you know, let's go through it here again. We got to real quickly here. Looking at our slideshow. Okay. We discussed the preface. Okay. Okay, I guess we already got this. Yeah. Yeah. That's the other slideshow, actually. Yeah. So they became the prime ministers of Bengal, which is and Orissa, I guess. There's a Bengal, which at that time was more opulent than any place you're going to find in the world. And he wrote so many books, you know, so many books about philosophy, culture, these things. And he summarized everything, like 11,000 verses and 11 verses right here, Upadeshamrita. So Upadesh means advice, and Amrita means the nectar, the essence, like that. So this is a genius we're dealing with here. And why don't we know about him? Well, because the British had a systematic program to try and cover all this, and mistranslated it and everything else. And the Spanish had the same program, you know, in Latin America. But now we're beginning to discover that, you know, giving up our colonial arrogance. Other cultures also have something to say. You know, one of our people I work with a lot is a person named Hector Behar. He's a professor on 3 different universities in the United Nations Committee Against World Hunger. And actually, as of 2 months ago, he became the foreign minister for Peru, the government. He's like 80 years old. Very, very, very nice person, very intelligent, very powerful historian. And like many people, he points out, okay, in what is it, the 1850 or something, people got freedom from Spanish colonialism occurred in South America places. And in 1947, it happened in England, India, right? India. So that the British were tougher than the Spanish. I mean, they were held in there and stuff. But even though people got political independence, they didn't get cultural independence. Even though India arguably has the best psychology in the world, Patanjali and people like this, you know that, but still they're studying Freud, Skinner, all these people in the university, you know, because they're still dominated by this intellectual colonialism. You know? And of course, not many people are breaking this. Prabhupada said when he was walking in Los Angeles, he'd go in the mornings, he'd go to the beach, And he was telling Swarup Damodar Maharaj, you have to preach to the scientists and the scientific atmosphere and show them. But we're presenting is not primitive knowledge from savages. It's the very best knowledge. You know? Swarup Damodar Maharaj said, well, they've always, these scientists have always, these rascal scientists, because there's rascal scientists and good scientists. These rascal scientists have always been cheating everybody. And Prabhupada said, no, only for the last few hundred years, like that, you know. He said, now because the common person has access to so much history that people didn't have before, and the common person has access to so much of the different cultures in the world, right? That it's not going to last. They're going to have to admit they don't know everything, and it's good in a certain area, but it's not like to explain everything, you know, rational empiricism. So that's a little background here, maybe we gave last night. And we gave a little summary of the whole book, 11 verses, okay? And the first one talks about engaging the senses in Krishna's service, right? And this is everywhere. You'll find the beginning of all Buddhism, you know, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, they all talk about controlling your senses, and especially sexual agitation, right? Basically, the government's involved in two things, regulating sexual relations and everything that comes with those, you know, violence and everything else, and money. If you take away all if nobody has any problems with sexual relations or money, society is peaceful. Yeah, and it gets subtle too. You know, Prabhupada says that every man knows that if the daytime business does not go so good, the nighttime business also doesn't go so good. So yeah, in material life, a man wants to exploit a woman for gratification. One wants to exploit a man. That's the truth. What it's about. So many things result from that. You know, the dishonest business and so many things. Yeah. So this is the first thing. You know, understand how to engage your senses in the service of Krishna. Talking, hearing, smelling. Okay. Then 2 and 3 are especially two things that'll make it, 6 things that'll make it difficult to do that, and 6 things that'll make it easy. So he's giving good advice, a good perspective, ethics and morality. Okay. 4, 5, 6 then talks about association. It's mentioning a little bit before here, but here it's very explicit. What do we say? Birds of a feather flock together. Have you got a Hindi phrase or Telugu phrase like that? In Spanish, it is, you're known by the people you walk with. You're known by the people you walk with. Everybody, you know, points this out to you. So this is association. It's so subtle, but so powerful. He says, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. One's desires and ambitions develop from the company you keep. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. If you want to stop smoking, it's so simple. Don't associate with people who smoke. Right? Alcoholics Anonymous will tell you the same thing. You know, say, I've gone through my rehabilitation program. I'm free from alcoholism now, but I'm gonna go with my old friends to the bar, but I'll just drink seltzer water. Within 3 days there, yeah. Alcoholics Anonymous says, insanity means doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. No, you've got to give up that association. Be careful. So now, who do I associate with? Well, what is association? We can discuss that tonight, maybe. So, how do we associate with people? Okay. Then in 7 and 8, he goes back to the process, because there is a process. It's pretty universal. In where to practice the process, we have who, when, and where. These are all the basic questions everybody asks. If you're looking for a priest, do you go to a bar? If you're looking for a drunk, do you go to a church? Well, Indian Reformation, yeah. So it's places are very much related to the people and their activities like that. Okay. And then finally, he goes back over and discusses all kinds of association, and he culminates in Radha Kund and Radharani. Okay. So very, very esoteric piece of literature, you know. And again, we're associating, we have, like, for example, in Peru, a very, very nice association with the Jesuit tradition. Anybody know who Jesuits are? But who are Jesuits there? Was he a faithful guy? There's a hint there. Was he loyal? Loyola. I think it's Xavier or something. Loyola. Yeah. Okay. Loyola. Was he a Protestant? Okay. Yeah. I think it's too loyal. I think it's Ignacio Loyola. Which probably means loyal. So the Catholic Church developed, and for a while it was the only, I guess pretty much. I'm not sure when they started having it. But the beginning, the way it was set up, there were bishops, which means basically sannyasi. And the Bishop of Alexandria, the Bishop of Rome, the Bishop of Constantinople, like that. And then they had their organizations and how they were developing with priests and so many things. Okay. But then somehow or other, the Bishop of Rome started being the most predominant, and people even kind of accepted it. But in terms of like being the absolute authority in the church, that took some time and some conflict before it settled. And then the Coptic Christians in Egypt were especially more austere and more what we consider like from our tradition, sannyasis and stuff. But of course, they were in an atmosphere which is like what we're dealing with, whereas other parts of the Catholic Church were in Germany and places like this. I mean, if you're going to be a vegetarian in Germany in 1542 in the winter, you're going to die. It's just what it is. There's nothing to eat, and you can lick the snow. And so then animals would see them. But it's very clear. Benedictine, his orders there. He says that you can take meat in the wintertime with nothing else to eat and alcohol to digest it, but it's very clear that this is a concession, and the best thing is to live a natural diet, of rice, beans, and what else? Chapatis. Yeah. So they're different. So then they're divided. Basically, if you're a Catholic, you belong to a diocese, a congregation, and you have your priest and you're registered. Or else you belong to an order. These would be of nuns or monks and things like that. St. Francis has 3 divisions. Dominicans have their orders, and nuns. And then so St. Francis he was a very purified, powerful person. And from the Pope, they got a contract, a charter. So they've been a very, very old branch of the Catholic Church. And they're sometimes called God's Marines because they have this very militant. I've always had this very militant, onward Christian soldiers marching as to God. Okay, trampling other people. Okay. Anyway, maybe mixed with some arrogance, and also tied in a lot of times to state government. But it's only they have no married couples or any ladies in an order. So this is a strictly male organization. And I think what they have to become a sannyasi like our tradition, basically takes about 7 years minimum. And you've got to risk your life and everything else, and be very well educated and so forth, so on. And I think they have about, I'm not sure, maybe like 14,000 members. I'm not sure, but compared to us, maybe we have 150 sannyasis or something. They have maybe 1,400. So anyway, we're having very, very good dialogue with them because they are sincere. They're very concerned, and they recognize a lot of good information. And one of the person there was his name now, Juan Dejo. He's in charge of actually the graduate program in Lima, education and so on. They have their schools, especially they focus on establishing schools. University of California, the California State University. No, what is it? What it's called? University of California, Claremont. All the big cities usually have Jesuit schools like that and so on. And so when we're talking, you get the people on this level. Yeah, of course we're going to be moral and be ethical. Of course we're going to bow down to God. Okay, yeah. But then you start talking about more esoteric topics and what kind of relationships. San Bernardino de Clairvaux, in Clear Valley, one of his disciples became the Pope, which is always good if you're a saint. But I mentioned this before. He was talking. He has a very, very beautiful series of lectures on the Song of Solomon in the Bible, which starts off, "Kiss me with the kiss of your lips." Okay. So he says, okay, brother monks, you're all purified of the lust of the body and the lust of the mind by studying Ecclesiastics and studying Proverbs. Okay. So now we're going to talk about these things that occur in this purified atmosphere. And he said, yes, you can be so intimate with God as you can share the kiss of the lips and this intimacy. But he said there's two other kisses. The first one is the kiss of the feet. Okay. Then the kiss of the hand, and then the kiss of the lips. He said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still working on the kiss of the feet. You know what I mean? Oh, there. Yeah. And for us, it will be Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. We're making a relationship again in the beginning, learning how to serve, and then finally, achieving perfection like that. So it's kind of what, the book goes through all these things. And so when you're dealing with other people from other traditions, you can talk about, first off, you can talk about, we're Hare Krishnas from Bengal. That's the preface. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. We don't smoke or drink and only have sex to have kids. I don't. Okay, yeah. You talk. Okay, then you come to the next level, talking to Mormons. Church. Okay, not Mormons anymore. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. And many, many times. One time I was in Seattle. Our temple's there, very nice. There's a hill there, and you go up the hill over to one lake, maybe about a 15-minute walk. So I was walking back from the lake. This is a long time ago before it was developed. And I was coming down the hill, and I see two boys walking up in suits with name tags on. Like Mormons. And I'm coming down like this. You think, hey, it's a Hare Krishna. Hallelujah, Hare Krishna. So I studied more. I read the whole Book of Mormon, everything, and went through some degree. My karate instructor was a Mormon. Also very interesting. It was very nice. We had very, very good discussion. We believe God's the person, so do we. We went back and forth. So many, principles, we agreed. When it comes time to trying to stop the abortion clinic, we're going to be here together. Like, okay, we agree on these things. Family values. I was told that Coca-Cola, right? They had a big advertisement here up in Boise, Idaho, and it showed boys and girls dancing on the beach enjoying Coca-Cola, So the Mormons and other churches went into the local sales rep and said, you're not going to get any friends in this city with that one. So 2 days later, there was a picture of Coca-Cola showing a family even drinking Coca-Cola. Yeah. So, it's a nice place. I'd rather see a family drinking Coca-Cola than boys and girls. So you find that so many different kinds of people in the world. Upadeshamrita starts off with the most, abominable people and goes all the way up to the most esoteric, all with 11 verses. And it's amazing how people respond to these seminars. One time we were in Lima and it's going on, but that's the Mormons. So we had very, very nice exchange in so many areas, and just we agreed. And I'm walking off and I'm thinking, wow, they're really nice people. And when they become a little bit more advanced, they'll appreciate Lord Chaitanya and his consciousness. But I was thinking, I know exactly what they're thinking. Oh, Hare Krishna is real good. When they become more advanced, they appreciate our Lord Jesus Christ. Hey, somebody, close your microphone.
Don't hide in there, guys. Don't hide in there.
Help. Okay.
So sit down and I have a snack.
Close microphone.
I want to spill.
Ramadayati, is that you?
I want to spill.
I'll go get you soon.
Close your microphone. Okay. Who is it here? Is somebody one? Okay. The teacher, is like, all you're doing is talking. You wish you could skip all of that. Got to shoot back at them. Okay. So it's a very, very nice book for introducing our philosophy to all kinds of people. Okay. Just kind of caught up here. What to do next? So if you go home with a slideshow, why not? We got that. Anybody have any questions or comments here on different perspectives or stuff or strategy? We'll be here today and tomorrow. You have good food. Yeah, yes. I'm not sure if it's been before or after, but somewhere in the middle of that, yeah. And I'm also sure I read, remember reading one place, it was 11,000 total. Yeah. It's okay, very good. There's coming down to how it's passed down like that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has several Bhakti Alok. There's a commentary on some of the verses like that. And he has two commentaries he wrote. Bhakti Alok, I think, is in the first three verses. But when he's doing it, he then talks about other stuff also like that. So it's also a very, very nice discussion. Then he was writing a commentary. What was it called? Something Pius Varshani Vritti. Pius Varshani Vritti, which I think is in the Néctar and Rainfall or something. But then he was leaving his body. So he requested his very powerful son, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, to finish the work. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati wrote a commentary called Anu Vritti, which means following the Vritti. And I have translation of that. Narayan Maharaj. Yeah. But you see in Upadeshamrita, Néctar of Instruction, you'll see, for example, go to text number 1. Okay. If you turn the page here, and page number 7. Page number 7, you can do that. Halfway down it says, in his Anuvritti explanation of the Upadeshamrita, to the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes. Okay. And so, of course, Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj. So then almost every single text, the purport, you see that. Prabhupada writes something, but in terms of the modern world. For example, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati does not tell people they should not take LSD. The Prabhupada specifically mentions in the list of intoxicants, he mentions LSD. Because Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, when he was writing, there was no LSD. Okay. So you got to make, okay. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, in terms about talking about over-collecting, this is text number 2. One of the things that will keep you from being able to control your senses is having a refrigerator, which is having too big of a refrigerator. I often wonder about people who have a refrigerator and 2 freezers in the garage. Yeah. And then want to share stuff in our freezer. That's making a thing. Okay. Anyway, I get you on the list. Yeah. So the Bhakti Siddhanta warns people about having too many mystical powers. Has this been a problem for anybody here? Yeah, okay. So maybe LSD has been. Okay. We were presenting this in pan. You know pan is, right? Okay, no pan, haritaki, marijuana, LSD, opium. Okay. So we were presenting this in South America. Okay. Mariah here, so he would laugh like anything. And I presented the book, and then one lady, she said, I love your philosophy. I started coming, but I read this book, and it's so nice, and it's helping me so much. But I have a big problem, What's that? Well, I have a bakery, and your book says that bread is for satisfying illicit desires. We're all thinking, that book doesn't say bread is for satisfying. And she goes through the list, because the word for bread in Spanish is pan. Pan. So we had to explain that, no, that's a different kind of pan. So yeah, we have to do this. We have to introduce this to people and show them what the value is and everything else and so on. So coming down like that, what was your question again? I know I'm related to it there. When was it done and how did he do it? Yeah, okay. So that's how it's coming down. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, in his Anuvritti, he has a little history of the book. He says the Lord Chaitanya was so many times absorbed in these esoteric moods of Vrindavan and everything else. And so one night he was walking along the shores in Jagannath Puri, which is on the coast there. And he was thinking about the beautiful river Jamuna, here, Krishna's pastimes. There's a very, very big sand dune. I don't know if it's still there or not, something Parvat. He was thinking of Govardhan, okay. And then several devotees were going along with him. Yeah. Sugati wants to come in. Okay. Yeah. So several devotees were with him. And then it said, the Rupa Goswami, I guess Rupa Goswami was saying, the Lord Chaitanya came back to external consciousness. He said, okay, now I'm going to give you the essence of this Krishna consciousness. That was Upadeshamrita, 11 verses. Then it became a part of Padyavali, which is about Rupa Goswami, maybe like about 25 different songs and stuff like that. So then it was pulled out of there. So historically, what it is it's that Lord Chaitanya's summary of everything. And whether it occurred, I don't think it occurred very early in Rupa Goswami's, production. But I don't know I don't think it was the last thing either, It's somewhere along there, yeah. So, I mean, our promo thing is a sales pitch, okay? The guy in the back there with the hat on, he knows what you do when you're a salesman. What is Murphy's Law? About salesman? Take whatever the salesman says, divide by 6. This thing will last for 6 years. Okay, it will last for 1 year. Take whatever the factory says and divide by 2. Okay, so if the factory says 2 years, yeah, okay. Yeah, so the first thing we did before is just a promo pitch, But basically, yes, he wrote like 11,000 verses, and there's so many other than Bhakti Rasamrita. Okay, this is the summary. Néctar of Devotion, which Prabhupada also translated, right? Bhakti Rasamrita is the complete science of devotional service. And it stands right up against any theological work in the world, in any tradition like that, very well. Again, it takes a great deal to penetrate it. So, yes, this is the essence. And then after that, Rupa Goswami wrote 2 dramas, which are both mentioned in the preface, Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. Now, Vidagdha Madhava, the bees matched, is Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. But Lalita Madhava is Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka. And so you have a summary, a copy here, the complete science, and then a demonstration in terms of 2 dramas. And Prabhupada says that, this book about the Néctar devotion, the praise of Rupa Goswami. But it's very difficult to translate those plays. I can try to think here. All my jokes I'm thinking about are you Spanish to see them like that. But humor almost always many times involves seeing things from 2 different perspectives like that. So in the plays, Krishna, okay, it's good because it's a deviation, but they're very sophisticated in terms of multiple use of language and several uses like that. So when you translate them, you've got to give like 4 or 5 different explanations so that everybody understand why it's funny, or what Krishna is actually doing. But 2 of his girls, 2 of his queens are there, and they're both, upset with him. And then the grandmother comes in, and so he says something which one is going to interpret, amongst the stars you are the moon. But simultaneously, the other one will also interpret it as meaning, she's the moon amongst the stars, right? So he's got both of them satisfied, moon amongst the stars. And for his grandmother, it means, well, I guess there'll be a full moon tonight, there'll be no stars. Right? Okay. So Krishna is a clever dude. But unfortunately, there was a parrot there that heard his conversation with the first girl and starts chirping it back. So Krishna is trying to shut up the parrot. So it is. They're wonderful. They're funny. But he's showing you how it actually works, what real love is, how this beauty and so is. So that's, does that kind of answer your question? Okay. Anybody else have any comments? It'll make my life easier if you do. Yeah. No? You go ahead? Okay. Yeah. Anybody want to be fun? What am I doing here? Okay. This is text number 1. We read it yesterday. We get the word Vegam. Vegam means push. It's easy to remember because if you go to Las Vegas, you get pushed by everything. We have four principles here, which we avoid. No illicit sexual relations, no intoxication, no gambling, no eating. And all 4 of those are legal in Las Vegas. Yeah. But you notice what happens. I was flying Southwest Airlines one time, and you're going across the desert, and suddenly, way in the distance, these little things start popping up out of the sand as you're getting closer. And Las Vegas kind of comes up with all this incredible buildings and the palace and Taj Mahal and all this stuff is going on there, But yes, it's isolated, right? What you know the phrase, right? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. The new phrase is what happens in Vegas comes out on Facebook. Yeah. So this is text number one, that we're all being pushed by these things. You want to talk, and if you want to talk, then you want to think about things. How many people just love to get absorbed in their fantasies? Well, she said that. Well, I should have said that. Or, always trying to rewrite our lives, fantasies. And okay, so Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Kroda Vegam. Because if the anger is inhibited, Abhiroda Priti, it turns to anger. So it's just that one fact. You understand why I'm becoming angry, you can look up. Because my mind is frustrated. And it's just a mechanical thing. I can just say, okay, I was just going to give up my plan. My anger goes away. Yeah, okay. So that's three pushes of the tongue: talking, thinking, and anger. Yeah. The other ones are from the body, physical body. Let's see, Jiva Vegam, the desire to taste things. How many people here like to taste nice things? Okay. Yeah. Okay. What are give us three things nice to taste there, Professor. Huh? Mushrooms. Okay. Yeah. My God, this guy's a saint. I can live on mushrooms. Cake. Okay. Yeah. How many people here like ice cream? Okay. This is your own emotive goodness. I had to have 31 flavors. Every single day of the week. That's the whole day of the month. That's why it's there. 31 flavors every day you can have. They have special flavors. Yeah. Salty, sweet, sour. Yeah. Yeah. You got three. That's enough. Huh? Honey. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is the desire to taste things. You're on a diet and you're walking down the road and you smell the bakery pumping all the smells out with their fan. You're smelling, and your mouth starts to water. Okay. Well, I'll go inside and I'll look, but I won't take anything. Okay. And then, well, okay, I'll have one bear claw and some espresso with a little bit. But I'll eat it the right amount. So the tongue, and then the belly becomes agitated. We just said the genitals. It's a straight line: tongue, belly, genitals, hell. It's like, yeah. And it's actually the word for udar is belly, damodar, and upasta is genitals. So it matches right up with Italian living with pasta. Yeah. The Italian knows you eat too much pasta, you get a sexual agitation. Yeah, yeah. So again, very practical. This is, Prabodhananda Saraswati, one of our great acharyas. We find the same thing in Christian tradition. He's actually a Muslim. And he says, whenever you see good food and good drink, you should think, this can be the beginning of all my problems. Yeah. Hansel and Gretel were in the forest. What did they find? A gingerbread house. Nibble, nibble, little mouse, who is nibbling at my house? Yeah. So very practical. This one leads to the other. So his solution is that you should only eat sanctified food, right? And so every tradition, as far as I know, every tradition has a process for sanctifying, appreciating worship. Of course, in ours specifically, we have icons, lords, and you cook for them. Okay. In the beginning, you may cook what you want to cook for Krishna. Okay. My friend Bharata, he was a member of Mensa, that very intelligent guy. He's a devotee. He said he had one dream one time, and he made a very, very nice sandwich with homemade bread with lettuce and bean sprouts and mayonnaise and cheese and everything else in his dream. And he put it on his altar and was offering it to Krishna. And in his dream, he looked up, and Krishna actually appeared. And Krishna was looking at the sandwich and saying, "Oh, Bharata, what a nice sandwich, Is this for me?" And he said in his dream, he thought, oh my God, Krishna really came. He's going to eat my sandwich. and Krishna knew it was teasing him. So yeah, in the beginning, it's okay. It's better that if you first off offer it to God and say, hey, I want to eat pizza. You may not like pizza. Okay, here it is, and please accept it. And if you do that a few times, and you see Krishna saying, oh, okay, it's all right, it's nice. What is it? Oh, that's interesting. You eat this in America? What's it called? It's called pizza. It's called Gatorade. Yeah. Oh, Gatorade. Okay, look about it, Ronnie. They're offering us Gatorade. Yeah. Oh, it's nice. Yeah. So what happens is that you do this, and after a while, you become you're so nice associating with Krishna that you don't care exactly what you're getting out of it anymore. There's a whole process about controlling the tongue, and our process is that sharing table fellowship with God. And then you cook it for Him. Some renounced attitude, and you can accomplish something. I'm cooking for you, and what do you want? You're thinking, and you get inspiration within your heart. And when you're cooking, you're thinking, I'm cooking for my family, not just for me. I'm cooking for God. Okay, yeah, He can. Every little thing matters. Your little kid, I want to make sure it doesn't make him sick. So the whole consciousness starts to develop. Very personal thing when you're cooking. Yeah. Okay, so that's a suggestion. Chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam, and your tongue will be controlled. Yeah. So that's a summary of the summary. Tongue, belly, and genitals. Okay, let's look at number 1. And this is, of course, is the homunculus. You can look him up on the internet. Has a lot of nerves in his mouth, a lot of nerves in his fingers, and his ears. Yes. So, oh my God. Oh, disappeared. What happened to the rest of the slideshow? Okay. See, I'm becoming frustrated and angry here because I can't find my slideshow. Let us see if there's some more to it. Okay. This PC. Okay. Okay. Okay, I don't know because I haven't done anything more anyway. Okay. So in this case, we'll go back to the original source documents. This is, of course, a very, very nice webpage, database.io. All of Prabhupada's books are online here. This is the source. Okay. And has several languages. Is that? Netherlands, Russian, Danish, Estonian, Slovak, Spanish. Okay. And here's Bhagavad Gita. There's a Hoshima Bhagavatam, Hochitanya Charitamrita, the Krishna book, Science of Self-Realization. And there's some more here. Okay. It's a very nice resource. And you can have bookmarks when you're studying. You can also send a link for the bookmarks to people when I talk about certain subjects or something. So we're here, the Nectar of Instruction. Where is that? It's over here. And here's the text. So, a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genital is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Give shelter. But here's 6 things that will make it difficult. You just chant the Sanskrits. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jana sangascha loilam cha shabir bhaktir vinashati. So text 1 was talking about personal relationships, impersonal activities, control your senses, control your mind. Why? So you can become shelter, for the whole world like that. So personal relationship here. Then these are 6 things that will make it difficult. Once devotional service is spoiled, when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Okay, Achahara. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are difficult to obtain. Now, of course, this is follows, because if you want how many cars is too many cars? Yeah. Okay. Yes, the ladies. How many sorries is too many sorries? There's no over 50. Okay. Prabhupada said the average girl will not be satisfied with less than 2-3 dozen saris. But this is in the culture where that's your main dressing stuff, and other dresses in the West. Yeah. But okay, one of my friends, Jai Krishna Das, he's from Florida. He has 2 partners, and they have a parking lot cleaning business. Parking lots are clean in big malls. Yeah, but he shows pictures of not clean for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, weeds growing, everything else. So they go out at night, and he has people on these small, street sweeping machines. And they're sweeping. The other guy takes care of the trash box. Maybe like 8 people out on machines like that. So it's a pretty robust business. And he's one of the managers, salesmen. And so he showed me he has 6, good suits. Almost expensive. They're like, there's good quality. 6 good quality business suits. Now, why does he have 6? He's the manager. Huh? Yeah, because if he had 5, the employees would figure out he's only got 5 suits because every Wednesday he wears that. Yeah, very good manager. I mean, everybody says, he says, when you're in front of the employees have to feel like they're in front of the boss. You got to look like the boss. When you're the head pujari's wife, you got to look like the head pujari's wife, right? Yeah. When you're the mayor's wife, you got to look like the mayor's wife, right? Yeah. I mean, you're his wife. You got to look like it. You don't know like. I know one girl, South America. She wants to be a nun and have a little room and like that austerity and like that. But she's married somebody who ended up being has what do you call it, the franchise for UPS and the whole country and everything else. So you have, a cook and two girls in the house and everything else, big house, receiving so many people. And she said, just for her, it's just like, so unnatural, telling everybody what to do and being the boss and all these kind of things. But she said, that's, I'm this guy's wife and I got to look like it. So same way too, that's not over collecting that, having 5 suits. Then he showed me, he showed me have like 150 ties or something. He said, I don't need this. Okay, that's more than necessary. Okay. So, and as soon as you start wanting more things that is natural, then the second one kicks in. You have to work too hard. I know one guy, Krishnananda, the big German guy, and he said he was married and second time, and he had 2 jobs, and he came home, and he saw the shadow of his wife, and she was waiting to stab him. I don't think to stab him to collect the insurance money. He was German also. And the knife was so big it would have gone like that. So, yeah, it all becomes very odd. If you want more than necessary, then you got to collect more than necessary. Okay. Number 3, Prajalpa, talking about mundane subjects and everything else. We all know this is, this wastes your whole life, which of course doesn't mean just conversation, but also means literature and stuff to destroy it. Practicing scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement or rejecting them. Because sometimes we'll be very, very strict in following religious activities, but for a certain purpose. I want to become famous in this religion. One time, Lord Ramachandra was there in Ayodhya, and into his court came, and the people standing in line to see the king, and he's there with his ministers and wife, and receiving everybody. They look down, and there's one dog in the front with kind of some dry blood on his head, and behind him is one very high-class, Brahmin who follows all the rules and regulations, and a few people. So they wonder, what is this? So finally it comes up, and the dog explains his problem. Talking dog. Yeah. The dog says, I was running down the street and just, I've been forced to live and get food here and there. And this Brahmin came along, and he was carrying his paraphernalia to go to the temple and worship the god and that kind of stuff. And I ran in front of him, and he said, my shadow didn't even go in front of him, but he picked a rock up and threw it and hit me in the face like this. And I said, hey, that's not fair. My shadow didn't even touch you. I'm taking you to the king. I'm making a complaint. Everybody's watching, and there's this talking dog and the Brahmin, and so he's looking at him and says, well, okay, let's go. And they got there, and so here's the complaint. So Lord Ram says to the Brahmin, well, is this true? And the Brahmin says, yes, I was a little harsh with this dog like that. The Lord Ramachandra asked the dog, and he says, "Hey, well, what should his punishment be?" He's talking dog. What should his punishment be? He said, "You should make him the head of a large religious institution." And everybody looking and Ram said, "That's punishment?" The dog says, "Yes, that's what I was in my last lifetime." Yeah, civil president, yeah. So this is the thing is that we'll be following the rules and regulations, but not for the right reason. This is a very realistic problem, and it can be subtle too. Maybe you just want freedom, liberation. You don't want to serve God, but you okay if I use these rules, and God will give me freedom like that. Okay, associating with worldly-minded people. So here again, we're going back to association, and Jana Sangha. Basically is, what does it say? Jana Sangha, hanging out with ordinary people. And finally, being greedy for mundane achievements. The same thing. First off, it starts off with being greedy for too much, then you got to work too much to acquire and stuff like that. So the whole purport here is really focused on that, understanding what is too much and how to get free from it in different ways. And too much is anything. What you have some service in life, higher mission, and it's very easy to regulate it. I ask this question, often: how many saris is too many saris? Okay. And Mother Uttama, the big devotee up in Canada, she said, depends if you're a pujari or not. If you're a pujari, then you got to have, you know how many saris Mother Teresa's girls had? Two. It was two. Yeah, two. Yeah. But they are all living in a monastery. But a pujari, then you got to wash them and dry them. So that's what it is. That's what the basic regular principle is. What is your mission in life? A higher activity. And then it becomes very easy to regulate what you need. Like that. So any questions about this? Everybody is satisfied with what they have? Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
So I just feel my problem is with collecting more than I need.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the person that so many books and I haven't read them all.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. But the mental challenge that I have is that this is spiritual information, and a lot of them are like maybe rare books.
Yeah.
And so I think in my mind, let me just get the market now, and then later I can read it, right? So how do I come to terms with like reading now versus reading later, and how do I decide what to maybe give away?
Ravi Prakash Singh, is our president. He has so many books there. But he's a psychiatrist, raising his kids, everything else. And I asked him, "You read these?" And he said, "No, I don't tend to read them." He said, "But many of them, like you're saying, they only get published one time. Maybe be 40 years for they're published again." He says, "Yeah, when I retire, then I just." So that's not invalid. You can judge by the results. I mean, actually, is Radharani refuses to grow. Radharani refuses to know. They're just cowherd girls and stuff. They're really enjoying that rustic life of simplicity and personal relationships. Because you can get sucked off too much into intellectual platform. But Gargamuni is there. He's a priest, Brahmin, and everything else. Again, it depends on your service, how the books are actually fitting into your service and stuff. There's no disciple can ever take everything the spiritual master is offering. So as soon as I heard that, it was like, oh God, what a relief! Because I was trying to and that's just the books Prabhupada translated. What to speak of all the ones he lists and recommends. Then after that, again, anything. If you're a lawyer, doing your service. You're going to be requiring so many things in law and so many things. So it's the real standard is the same thing. Is it really useful for my service? How do I determine that? Well, probably in his own books, he gives some description about how many books are necessary. Sometimes he says, these books are necessary. You're going to list them as 5 books. No. Krishna books, Nectar of Devotion, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, give me 5 books like that stuff. Another thing is you're talking to other people and devotees, and they're saying, okay, this is too much. And I just Rupa goes. I have when I was teaching at the Bhaktivedanta College in Bangladesh, somebody gave me a whole collection of Rupa Goswami's works. It's like 35 books or something, And PDFs, most of them. I haven't opened a lot of them and stuff like that. So, but they're all there and stuff. And so, who knows? And someone would refer to something. I have some scholarly responsibility. But I'm not a scholar, really. Scholar means you just have a desk and a dusty library. You sit there and you go to the library. That's not my nature. I'm more like researching and finding things. So I have to know. Go back and get your PhD. Well, I do this kind of research work. Well, you don't need a PhD for that. Okay, so I like to go out and meet people and then introduce them to the scholars who will sit in their dusty offices and read their dusty books and argue over what do you call it? Incredible fine points or something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So next one here is over collecting. Next text. Okay, text number 3. So these are the things that will make it easy. Utsahad nischayad dharyat tatat karma pravartanat sangatyagat tato vitahe shadbir bhakti prasidati. So here's the translation. There are 6 principles favorable to text number 1, to the execution of devotion. Being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to the principles, the rules and regulations. And now again, the same thing, association, abandoning the association of non-devotees, following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. And you notice here I can indicate this by clicking. The little suitcase shows up. And I can go over there and I can add a bookmark, which will show up on my account. Or else I can go to Twitter, for example, and then I can just tweet it. Or else I can just copy it and then send it to somebody. Yeah. So it's a very nice tool, communicating and talking about things. Okay. By the way, this is something here. Yeah. Okay. So these are being translated from Sanskrit, and Sanskrit it's like in English. How many words do we have for camel? Camel. But how many words do we have for meat? Beefsteak, kidneys, liver, bacon, steak, ribeye steak. How many steak? Yeah. But in India, I think there's one word for meat. Maybe it's changing now, mangsa or something, right? Meat. With America, man, we got, yeah. So if you go to Arabia, out in the desert people, everything else you're going to have, it's 100 words for camel. She camel, recently pregnant, she camel, about to get, yeah. So the words that are being translated here are pretty precise in terms of different yoga sutras and these things. The word here is utsahan, enthusiastic. So the way he defines it is action executed in Krishna consciousness with intelligence. Yeah. If you lost your intelligence, it's not enthusiasm, it's passion. It's, where am I going? What? I don't know. What am I doing? I don't care. All I know is I am on my way. Where are we going? I don't know. Let's go. Yeah. So if you lose your enthusiasm in Krishna consciousness or anything, you can always find it in your intelligence. Right? Yeah. There was a guy, Whitehead, said, there is no inevitability as long as there is a willingness to contemplate the present. Calm down and get your understanding, your knowledge has been going on. You can always find the solution to things, a way to move ahead. This is a very nice philosopher. It's Christian. But he's okay. I remember I was a devotee for maybe initiated in 74. I went to India in 78. Okay, so it's 4 years. But I started becoming institutionalized. I was doing it for this purpose, that purpose. I was becoming, like you're saying, Niyamagraha. I was following the rules and regulations. This is the way I live and everything else. Okay, take this way. And that's okay. So I got a chance to go to India, and I took it because I knew it would give me a chance to just, not be involved in this stuff, a little detached. It was a very chance. And I got myself. back online again, researching my deep motives. Not just like in a moment, but actually we have very deep motives. Damodar Maharaj, my sannyas guru, he said, Manipur. He said you should have big goals in life, high goals, because when some obstacle comes up, it doesn't matter. Okay, maybe I'm going to have to deviate for a year or a year and a half. But yeah, this is a life plan I'm talking about. So the small obstacles, they don't bother you so much. And maybe you'll change them. Such as that definition of enthusiasm. Really clarifying in life what you want, what's important, what you're trying to accomplish, and then how to achieve it. If you got those two things, you'll always be enthusiastic. You always have to keep going over it again. Everybody. And what do you want to accomplish? Utsahan nishchayad. This is determination. God helps those who help themselves. The example is given of a sparrow, little sparrow. Okay. So she laid her eggs by the ocean, and what happened? Lokanath, we first came here with a puppet show. We had a shadow show of this, So the ocean took her eggs away. Okay. So she asked the ocean to give her eggs back, but the ocean wouldn't do it. So she says, okay, I'll dry up the ocean. So she's taking out the water with her beak, And all the other birds are coming and laughing at her, and we had different birds coming. So finally, then the carrier of God, Vishnu, Garuda, he's an eagle, he came, and all that comes is a big foot, like, and it gone. Like that. Unless you give them back, I'm going to take up the work. So the ocean became faded, gave back her eggs. This is an example, probably specific of Utsahan Nishchayana. How determined do you have to be? Unlimitedly. I've already tried this 3 times. How determined? Yeah, I've never gone through this sometimes. Finally, at some point, your mind, your intelligence understands that, hey, this guy's not going to give up. Forget it. His determination on this point is absolute. I'm going to win. Yeah. Sometimes in marriage, the marriage partners may have this. It takes 25 years, and I'm going to make my husband's life hell. I'm going to make him into the man I want him to be. Psychologist. Yeah. So this is, determination. This is important, but most important, patience. Okay, unless you have some patience, you mess everything up. So more important than patience is enthusiasm. That's a very, very subtle point. Very important. In any situation, I'll tolerate, I'll deal with this. No. More important is be enthusiastic. Okay, figure out why you're feeling you can't solve the problem, why you're feeling you can't go ahead, what's going on, what do you want? And once you got that, then automatically patience just falls in, as a natural result. Okay, I got to be a little patient now to get the result there, and so on. So that's the first thing. Patience, enthusiasm, determination, and patience. And then, follow the rules and regulations, for the proper purpose, and follow the acharyas, the great saints who show you what it means to do these things. But the first 3 texts is pretty much, very solid basis there. So maybe tomorrow we can go over the association, which is really, because it's a thing, we don't how to do it. It's interesting. And it's just about the whole book then. So, koi prashna. I heard that on the Brajmandal-parikrama. Every morning we get up and just sleeping all night in the dirt, 1,000 other people coughing all night, getting up for another day, marching in the woods barefoot, The Brajmandal-parikrama. Okay, very, very nice cooking. And so, it's like one of our Lakshmana, she came along with Tirthaketu's wife in the parikrama one year, and she said, my God, it's like having 3 Sunday feasts every day. And so you're walking along there, it's hot, and the sun in your body and everything else. So then your body tells your intelligence, hey, I can run the locomotive system, I can run the digestive system, and I can run the cooling system. But I can't run all 3 at the same time. So until you figure out what you want to do, I'm opening up all the water here and dumping it out. And so you get diarrhea. And it's very, it's understandable. Okay, then you've got to start eating, because you don't eat enough under that physical stress. You can't do it. So you start. So many people another person in the same group said, I'm eating less than I ever ate in my entire life and have more energy, because you're extremely careful about what you're eating and so on and stuff. You really learn how your body works and stuff. That's the first three texts, really. Then after that, then this other thing is really this association. Final questions about. Oh, Vegam. Yeah. 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 Huh? Yeah. Is it the urge and desires? Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 No, it's not. Okay. That's what he says. That when we use it properly, I think this is okay. What he's saying is liberation, basically. That if you know how to put this in control, like connecting to the Krishna service, then you can teach everybody else how to do it. Then you won't be exploited of material nature. Okay. This is a nice resource. Learn Sanskrit with noa.cc. Okay. It gives you a dictionary. Okay. Why as? Yeah. So it's may load or not load. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it's a very, very nice resource. It also has some few Sanskrit. You can look up words here. Also on the Sanskrit to English. Okay. You go Vegam right here. Aha. Vegam or Vega. Let's try Vegam. Capital M. That means there's a dot under it. It's vague anila, violent or heavy wind. Maybe it's more. Okay, it doesn't have. Maybe I'll go back just to Vega. Okay. Speed, seizure, velocity, impulse. Okay. Vega Vardhana, increasing speed. Yeah. Okay. So Krimi is not a word, which is well, it is. It's basically a pretty popular word. What we're saying, impulse. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, desires are a concomitant thing. That's what we're saying. Other people say, stop all the desires, stop all the thoughts. I know many people. Yeah. No, it's concomitant nature of the soul, the desire. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the complete science of devotional service, is talking about service to God after it talks about liberation, all this kind of stuff. And said Bhava Bhakti, and basically can be divided into 5 elements. Yeah? And how's it going? How are they now? Oh boy. Got all they are now. What's the first? Vibhava. Okay, got the first. Good to hold it. Vibhava, Anubhava, Satvika Bhava, Vyabhichari Bhava, and Sthai Bhava. And these are the elements of love of God. So Vibhava is stimulus. Like that, okay? So now this is the push, the Vegam, the stimulus. Krishna is so beautiful. Krishna is so kind. Krishna is so funny, okay? And he divides that into Krishna himself and Krishna's paraphernalia. It's like that what it's called. And then it goes through the scriptural references like that. So that's the thing, the spiritual world, this is what's happening. And this, you can look at it and so on. As we're developing, we discover in our life certain things are giving us a natural impetus, like that. And so this is natural. Then our speaking power becomes completely, useful. Okay. So Vibhava would be the desire to. Okay. Now Vibhava is the stimulus. Krishna looks really, really beautiful. Okay. Vibhava. Anubhava is Sattvika Bhava was coming directly from the self, like tears or trembling or choking. Okay, these things you just don't require any intelligence; they just happen. Like you see the deities, and you're just like, you're just overwhelmed with how beautiful they are. Okay, but Anubhava is based on that, but requires a little bit of intelligence. For example, you want to sing and dance in front of Krishna. Okay, that requires a little intelligence to manipulate the body and stuff. So the body in two categories. Yeah. And it goes on like that. But the Vibhava is the basic stimulus, for our desires to dance, to talk, to sing, everything else. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the bushes. How do you know when you're over endeavoring? Okay. Well, some scriptural resources, right? And some people say, Prabhu, I just don't have any strength to do my service unless I eat meat. That's actually a big devotee whose name I won't mention. You'd be surprised when he was in Maya. And he says, I just got to eat meat now and stuff. Okay, so then we'll say, no, no, that's your over endeavoring. Yeah, scriptures, the association of devotees. Yudhisthira had this question. He thought he was over endeavoring for mundane things. So now all these people died so I could get the throne. And Bhishma said, no, you were guided by the Vedic scriptures, okay, by the Brahmanas. So you talk to other people and stuff. You say, not for Rupa. The 5 cars, so too much, not for Rupa. And so then you talk to nice people, everything else, you get association of devotees. And the third one then is God. You were guided by God, the Brahmins, and the Vedic scriptures. So for us in Kali Yuga, God is the holy name. So you're chanting nicely, you're engaging in kirtan and stuff, and maybe as soon as you start chanting the holy name, some thoughts just go away. It just can't stay there. So the scriptures, you got Prabhupada's books, association of devotees, and chanting and stuff. And if you're doing those, then you'll get devotees. It's clear, logically, and everything else. Or you may come to the conclusion, I just don't know. I can't know. Maybe this is a little bit too much, but hey, it's just kind of a detail, and I don't really know. Okay, so don't worry about the detail. No. No. Okay. I'm passing the baton. Then we'll stop here.
In practical terms, the devotees who work for corporations, especially IT and all, they're required to work for 24/7.
Oh.
And they don't leave their job. So how do you tell them, okay, there's no alternative. So how do you work around that?
Wow. Could you do that? No, it's again, I would say the basic principles apply. If you look at Prabhupada's books and everything else, so he gives suggestions, about, practically how many work hours and stuff. And then you see that. For example, in Cusco, up in the mountains there, it's one of the most touristy places in the face of the earth. The devotees had a really old house, a restaurant right in the center. The board had like these twisted boards and this kind of stuff. It was rustic. It was old, narrow kind of place. And then the landlord wanted to turn it into a tourist goods place because he could make more money off of it. The devotees fought and everything else, so forth. And finally lost it, and within 2 days, they got a place just around the corner. It was cheaper, bigger, and everything. And so the conclusion was that Krishna was trying to tell them again and again, like that. So they were endeavoring. So, in Prabhupada's books, you'll find general descriptions when you know that, for example, Prabhupada says, Krishna wants you to work nicely, to do whatever you can do nicely, not dog hard. And so then you can see, there's a standard. If I don't work 40 hours or 65 hours a week or something, I'll die, They're saying, no, Krishna just doesn't require that. Just find some job you can do nicely. And so it goes on and on. I think you see in many cases where devotees, the same thing, the devotees, they give up some kind of job, and within Chaitanya Charitamrita, he was maintenance guy for one of these Del Webb Sun City places, right? And also he wanted to get his Associates of Arts degree in design. And so what happened was the guy came in and he said, my boss, and he said, Chuck, this sounds totally ridiculous, but I'm going to have to fire you because you're doing your job too well. And he said, we just can't get enough hours for you to work here now and stuff. And I'm sorry, but it's this, you put yourself in. So he was like, oh my God, I lost my job. Okay, so he said, okay, well, I can go full time now with my diploma. And after about 2 weeks, the guy called him up and said, Chuck, I know this is going to sound really terrible, and I might say no to me. Could you work like half time, in 20 hours a week and stuff, because that's what you can do. He said, well, yeah, okay, but it's a little hard for me. Can you give me a little raise? So he ended up, working all the hours he needed for more money and being able to go to school, same time. So, we don't have to over endeavor. Maybe some weird circumstances you find, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have, like I know some people refuse to work on the airplane, right? That was a decision. I know some guys yeah. So you're going to find out. You got to check it out. Be a little brave. Maybe you can find out. And maybe sometimes Krishna does want you to work like an ass. That's really unusual, and I would confirm that. So the scriptures are there and applying, and then after that, you talk to other people in your area. The women talking about how much time do you have to give your children and stuff like that, and so on, how much time you can keep for yourself. These people in the same line of work. And of course, Prabhupada's personal, what is it? He says, follow Parasara's Dharma Shastra. One place, okay. Parasara says, I can't give you details for everything. Kali Yuga is so messed up. But here's some good examples of what's right and what's wrong, practically speaking. And he says, okay, and if you haven't got a exact thing, he says, one sadhaka totally dedicated to spiritual life can give you practical advice. So people will go to Prabhupada and ask him very practical questions. And he will say this, that. Okay. Then it says, if you haven't got that, a synod of 6 Brahmins can come to the same conclusion. That's it. Okay. I asked 6 nice devotees, and I talked with them, and they all told me this was the right course of action. In Prabhupada's books, I found this citation. Okay, been chanting and praying, I really feel. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. And even if you go to hell, you have Prabhupada's books with you, a pair of kartals, and 6 other people. So, okay. So we're going to stop here. And now, because we're enthusiastic, now we should be enthusiastic to honor prasadam. And we have very, very nice snack here, I think. Wait a second. Yeah, wait a second. No? Okay, so Prabhupada ki jai. We'll see you all tomorrow, if possible. Yeah. Thank you for your association. Thank everybody online here also. I pushed the button. I didn't do it. I did it. Best microphone ever had. Yeah. Bingo. That is. Yeah. Okay. We're still online here. Let's see. There's the microphone. Okay. Hare Krishna. Ken Astaki. Jordan Rodriguez. To everyone. Thank you. Who's Jordan Rodriguez? You're Jordan Rodriguez? Okay. Participants. There is Karuna Shakti, Jordan Rodriguez, Iswari Devi Dasi, Carlos Rowe, us, Devi Dasi, Boise Temple co-host, and Hanumatpresaka Swami. Yeah. So, muchas gracias a todo el mundo. Disculpa nuestros errores.
Hare Krishna.
Hello.